can't wait to show you guys all the cool sights in Jacksonville. Like, that swamp is where me, Pillboy, and Donkey Doug used to stand and try and blind pilots with laser pointers. And
maybe we should do the tour after we, save your father's soul.
Oh, I've been meaning to ask, why are you trying to save your father? I've heard you mention your friend Pillboy many times, but you've not mentioned your father once.
What do you mean? I talk about Donkey Doug all the time.
I'm sorry? The man you call Donkey Doug is your father?
Yeah.
The Donkey Doug with whom you tried to blind airline pilots with laser pointers?
Yeah.
The Donkey Doug who was banned from Disney World for biting Buzz Lightyear?
In his defense, he thought it was someone else.
Who?
What a sight for sore eyes. Boy, am I glad to see a tall drink of water like you walk into this dive bar tonight. Stephen Baker.
Well. I guess they're just letting anybody into this fine, greasy dive bar these days, huh, Zachary Pruitt?
I don't know if I've ever mentioned this on one of our projects, but every time you walk into a room, a noir voice starts narrating in my head. It says, his name was Stephen Baker, the type of guy who always shows up late, but you're never mad.
You could tell by the hole in his pants that he'd been through some shit.
And you could tell by the hole in his heart that he was looking for trouble. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. I'm very glad you've joined us for another week. We're going to get into it. We're going to talk about The Good Place, Into the Time Knife. Very exciting. Hi, everyone. I'm Zach, and I both it.
Nice. I'm Steven, and hey, you want some pills?
What kind?
Well, you see, chase a couple of these down with a 5-hour energy. Great body high, mild visuals. You'll be in for a fun night.
Pillboy... We learn a lot about him, and it was pretty much just as direct as what we had known before.
Yeah.
It was interesting, to put it lightly, to see him walking around the old folks' home and giving each of them not just their prescription, but like his recommendations, his personalized...
Well, I like it. He's like, hey, don't mix those. You'll end up like that guy over there.
Yeah. Welcome to the podcast, everybody. We're going to get into The Good Place. We're going to get into all kinds of things today, talking about the Ballad of Donkey Doug.
All kinds of donkeys, all kinds of pills.
But before we can do anything, we've got to shout out our $10 and up patrons over at patreon.com/can'tdisappointpodcast. Those people are Mary Baker Budisa, Danny M. Lugo, Justin Fortier, and Little S. Haker. Very sorry. My bad.
There you go. Only
respect to the dead. Thank you for supporting us, and if you like what we do over
this Patreon subscription in their will, I leave $10 every month to
Zach and Steven.
Yeah. Only through the form of a Patreon donation.
Little S. Haker, pancaked by drunk dump truck driver at a mere 6 years of age.
Yeah.
Welcome to the program. And if you want to support us in what we do over here, starting at $5 a month over at patreon.com/can'tdisappointpodcast, get your early access, get your exclusive content, and get your live stream, Zach and Steven, every week. Try it out. It's almost the holidays.
All the cool kids are doing it.
Nothing is better than waking up your beloved child on Christmas morning a few months from now and seeing the look on their eyes when they open their stocking to find Zach and Steven's Patreon right there in their little sake.
What better for a growing child than a bundle deal where they get not only our Patreon, but our new exclusive Fansly as well. We've been kicked off of OnlyFans.
OnlyFans turned us down.
Yeah, right. They said, ooh, no one is a fan of that.
They said no one has ever got 100% of their subscribers to request a refund. We can't have this. We're trying to get paid. And I understand. I just think our content was a little too artsy and subversive for what they're doing over there. We're not just doing the regular artsy spreading our vaginas in front of the camera for the boys we went to high school with. We're doing stuff with story. There's props. There's heavy sets involved. And none of that's on Patreon.
A lot of money goes into the production.
But you can support us over there. Patreon.com/can'tdisappointpodcast. Steven, my dear friend, my beloved boy, how are you at the hour?
I'm doing well. I've got a tummy with some food in it.
Me too.
Oh, good. They're letting you eat these days, huh?
They are.
Nice. I know there was that time period where you were a
They
naughty,
were
naughty
not.
boy,
I
and
was
all you
not
got
allowed to
was peanut oil
Yeah.
for dinner. But now look at you now.
That was
Just
your
a
answer to
trough.
how are you? How did it get from how are you to what am I drinking? Peanut oil?
Your peanut oil out
am
of
I
a
kidnapped?
trough.
Okay, well I'm sorry I asked. I thought we talked. Are you feeling better? We've been watching
I'm
your
doing
health.
better. I was a little bit sickly last time we recorded.
Yeah.
Who knows when that was?
Guys, let's just be honest, okay? We're having a lot of fun here. We're going to do the same show we always do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they'd notice if we didn't tell them. Do you think they'd notice?
Did we say earlier? No, we
In
didn't,
this
did we?
podcast, right? No. Here it is. We recorded last week's podcast on Jeremy Bearimy, which I'm really proud of, and I hope you enjoyed it 6 hours ago.
Mm-hmm.
So Steven's health is going to feel like you've been sick for a month.
Yeah, it is. I was sickly today. I'm doing much better now.
Sickly today when we recorded earlier
Yeah,
today.
but I'm much better now than I was
Much
then.
better. Much
A
better.
week will do wonders for you.
Well, I did save a story for this podcast, something that I wanted to talk about.
Oh,
really quickly.
lay it on me. Just let
Glay.
it run
I'll
out of
glay
your,
it all
out of
over
your
you.
lips. Just
I'll
let them like
glay
separate a
Aiken
little bit.
over
Like if you have
here.
a mouthful of water and you just like open,
Mhm.
where it like starts to run out of your teeth,
Yeah.
and then it just like all over, run all down your chin.
Are we still
Tell me the
talking about the
story
same
that
thing?
way. Yeah.
I think I'm thinking about something else. So I wanted to tell this story. The other day, I'm coming home late from work. I was looking around at the stars. I've been spending a lot more time paying attention to the stars lately because I've gotten better at picking out constellations, and
Us
sometimes I can see them.
Weekly, E News.
Yeah, I've got to
Teen
see
Vogue,
what's
Tiger
Brangelina
Beat.
doing these
Mhm.
days.
You got to
Is that a
keep an
thing?
eye on the stars. They're still married.
those stars.
Yeah. I think.
Okay, so I'm looking up at the sky. I kind of see the Big Dipper, and then I look over and I see something that I've never seen in my entire life in the sky.
Uh-huh.
A real thing that for a second had me 100% convinced that I had seen a UFO of some sort.
Wow.
And I have video evidence of this.
What did you see?
I'm not
Zach?
kidding. This is fucking true. I ended up finding out what it is, but it was still eerie, guys. So I look up at the sky and I see it's like 15 dots in a straight diagonal line that look like stars far away, like 15 dots in perfect line. And I was looking and I was like, is that some kind of constellation? I don't think so. It's just a straight diagonal line in the sky. And then I'm looking at them and I notice that they're moving. And they're all like moving forward in the same line. And I got a little like shoddy, one of those classic iPhone videos where you can kind of see what you're trying to see, but not really.
You turned it from like the super HD iPhone camera to the possible
Lowest possible
extraterrestrial
resolution
setting, which just makes it super grainy and you can't hear anything.
I put it on Bigfoot mode.
Nice.
And it captured what it needed to capture. So I have this little video of it, and it's this perfect line. And for a second, I'm really thinking, like, what's going on here? And I looked it up, and it is shady, but not in an alien way. It's way less cool. It's like a SpaceX thing. And a lot of people in many different areas over the last couple months have been reporting seeing this exact thing. There's a picture of it that you can see. I didn't read too much because once I saw that it wasn't aliens, I got far less
it's
interested.
only
I think it has
apartheid
something to
money
do with the internet.
in space. Yeah.
But I am such a skeptic when it comes to things like that. And for a moment,
I know, I'm shocked that even for a moment you were like, this could be something other than...
Genuinely, for a moment, I thought I was seeing something that like I wasn't supposed to see or that I had never seen before. It was one of those nights. My heart was open.
Well, now, Zach, that you've
for
put that on the
receiving.
internet, they will be coming for you soon.
Well, I want them to know that I'm down. What am I going to do? Look at me. I'm a 26-year-old self-employed podcaster. I am not a threat to the new alien world order. In fact, I have always said I'm the type of person that would be a stormtrooper in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Just because I'd be scared and they'd tell me what to do and I'd do it. So with that in mind, aliens, we can work together.
Well, Zach, so on that topic, I don't know if this spurned anything in you, but I know you're pretty skeptical. You know, they just released, the Department of Defense just like made a blog, made their own website with Squarespace.
That's the part I don't believe.
Yeah. They made their own website where you can go watch a video. I saw a post on this. Yeah, there's like they released a video of unidentified flying object. It looks like somebody took a tetherball and they like held it in front of a camera and then like recorded something. It's really funny looking. It's like a little orb floating around.
The skeptic in me both says, yes, I think something like that could be something, and I believe the government has seen all kinds of things they're not telling us. And 2, so many things fly in the sky from so many different sources for so many different reasons. My mind doesn't go right to aliens. I think if there are aliens out there, which maybe there are, and this is what I thought we'd talk about getting into the good place today, is whether or not aliens exist. So I hope Blink-182's Tom DeLonge is listening. I think there's probably stuff out there. I don't think they're that worried about us. And if they are, I think we're fucked and we wouldn't know it before we are. So just don't worry about it.
I'm not worried about it.
Anything else you want to bring up, or do you want to get into the television program, The Good Place?
What's your favorite Alien movie, Zach?
I haven't seen a ton. I like Alien.
Alien's great.
There are more I want to see. I haven't seen Close Encounters. I haven't seen Arrival. I haven't seen, District 9. I need to see more.
Have you seen Independence Day?
Nope. Mm-mm.
Far better than most of the ones you just mentioned.
When I was a kid, action movies always kind of bored me. I was a comedy guy. If it wasn't about Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks having mail with each other, I just wasn't interested.
Zach's like, I can't see
myself. Is there any of that in Independence Day?
Guy. Yeah, there's romance in Independence Day. His stripper fiance is a thing. Will Smith. Because the first lady is like, oh, you're a dancer? What kind? Ballet? And she's like, exotic. And they're like,
I'm sure that meant a lot to you as a young child.
I remember the scene, apparently.
I've seen the other Will Smith Alien movie.
With his son, where they go to the other planet?
No, I haven't seen the Wachowskis' After Earth. I was thinking more of Men in Black.
Oh, yeah, those are good. Tony Shalhoub?
I've seen the first 2.
Tony Shalhoub?
Tony Shalhoub is what you brought back from that movie?
Yeah,
Let's talk about The Good Place. We don't have any other shit to say. We're here to talk about...
It's a jungle out there.
Season 3, Episode 6, Chapter 32 of The Good Place. This is The Ballad of Donkey Doug.
Well,
really
Donkey Doug rode into Jacksonville on a gator. He had a boy, but he wasn't ready. He told the mom to see you later, but he grabbed the boy, his name was Jason, taught him a thing or two about shooting spitballs at trains and how to say yoo-hoo.
This could have been a lot worse than it's been. I'm into it.
Yeah.
Is that where we're ending it?
For now.
Okay, well, The Ballad of Donkey Doug.
The Ballad of Donkey Doug is a tale as old as time. I told you part 1. For part 2, please give us $5 or more to the Patreon. You can hear the more of the Ballad of Donkey Doug.
Should have left it where it was. This episode was directed by Rebecca Asher, who...
There's a paywall.
This is her first episode.
Yeah, I haven't heard that name on the pod before.
But she directs 2 more episodes in the series later on. You've Changed Man, which is actually the episode we covered over on You Can't... Bonk my mic.
Hey now, don't be whacking.
You Can't Disappoint a Podcast, when people were voting for what show we were going to do next, and they voted on this one. And she also directs the episode Mondays, Am I Right? Which is one of the last of the show. One of the penultimate, anti-penultimate, frumpta anti-penultimate,
favorite
Lukta frumpty anti-penultimate, one of those. This episode was written by Matt Murray, who previously wrote Category 55 Emergency Doomsday Crisis, one of those early Season 1 episodes. This is his first writing credit since then, and he writes one more later in the series, which is You've Changed Man, that Season 4 episode that we talked about. All those, 6 months ago, 8 months ago.
Yeah, that was last year.
This episode originally aired on October 25th, 2018.
Whew.
So let's dive back into our time-traveling gear. On October 25th, 2018, the #1 movie. Think about what the date was.
Okay, it's a scary time.
It's a scary time. And
2018, was that?
Reboot.
Okay.
It's a reboot of an iconic franchise. This retconned all of the sequels.
Oh, shit.
And then they made 2 more of this. You gotta get there. It's funny and scary.
Oh, okay,
It's not Scream.
Oh. Funny and scary.
I don't know. Should I just... It's Guy with the Mask? It's Halloween. Halloween 2018.
Halloween is not funny and scary.
This one
movies
was.
Aren't comedies.
This one specifically was Danny McBride.
I haven't seen any of the new ones.
I saw the first 2, and I really liked the first one and hated the second one so much that I didn't see the third one.
Was this the first one?
Yes.
2018?
Halloween. Yep, that was the number 1 movie. What do you think Rotten Tomatoes thought about it? The critics.
Scary movies like that don't get very high scores from critics these days. I'm going to say 64.
It's higher.
Wow, 71?
No, it's 79% from Rotten Tomatoes.
Wow, good for Halloween 2018.
I liked Halloween 2018. I just didn't like it was Halloween Kills and then Halloween Ends. Halloween Kills was just horrible.
I got turned off by the Rob Zombie, the first one. I stopped watching
This wasn't
before
like
it was
that.
done.
I haven't seen those.
And so I haven't seen one since the first Rob Zombie Halloween.
Have you seen
And I
the
grew up
original?
loving it.
The
I've seen
original
all the
Halloween?
originals.
Which is great. Okay. What about the Rotten Tomatoes audience based off of a 79% from the critics? Where do you think the audience is at?
I think fans are normally pretty happy with things like that. Clearly you are. And I don't
call
consider
myself
you
a
necessarily
fan.
a horror movie fan. Yeah, I don't
No.
consider that your genre.
But I
So
like
I'd
this
say
one.
like 84.
It's lower.
73.
You're really close. 72%. A little bit
Okay.
lower from the audience on Rotten
All
Tomatoes.
right, interesting.
And then Letterboxd,
Mhm.
if they were out of 100%.
Well, that's where
what do
the
you think
Zacks
Letterboxd
go.
thought of it?
So I'm going to say 81.
No, it's even lower.
Oh, 69.
64%, which is
That's not very sexy.
quite a bit lower than the critics.
Give me a sexy
on
number,
Rotten
Zach.
Tomatoes
Come on.
79,
Hey,
the audience
hey,
72.
Hey,
Hey, hi.
don't be scared. Be
The number 1
sexy,
album
Zach.
this week is directly related to something we talked about in this segment earlier today when we recorded Jeremy Bury Me. Can you remember back that far?
Okay, so it was a rapper
Nope.
who had done earlier
Think of
today.
a question you asked me directly while we did this segment.
Is it Nas? Is it Jay-Z? Those are my questions. Because it's Lil Wayne.
That
was
wasn't-
it was the number 1 last week.
You're not even close.
Oh, was it the movie soundtrack for
Yes.
Venom? Was that my
No,
question?
no,
Or
no,
for,
no.
What the fuck was the movie?
Tell me something, boy.
Was it the soundtrack for A Star,
Is Born.
Is that the sound? Is that
No,
the
that
number one album
song's
this
from
week?
Venom. The number 1 album this week was the soundtrack to A Star Is Born.
Well, you see, people got to see
starring
the
Bradley
movie
Cooper
last week, and then
Lady
this week
Gaga.
they're missing the movie, so they listen to the soundtrack.
Yeah,
That
just
makes
missing
sense.
it. Can't sleep at night thinking about it. Pitchfork out of 10 to the 10th. What do you think the soundtrack to A Star Is Born received? You know this one better than I do because you've danced to some of the other songs.
Yeah, I know most of the songs fairly well. Pitchforks out of 10.
Yes.
With one
to the
decimal
10th.
place. 8.1?
It's lower, but not by a ton.
7.7.
It's a 7.4 out of 10.
Okay.
And then Rate Your Music goes to the 100th. I translated it to out of 10.
Mhm.
What do you think they thought of it? 7.4 as your basis at Pitchfork. Where are the people of Rate Your Music feeling? A Star Is Born?
6.52. So it means people that listen to the album that hadn't seen the movie. And the movie adds significance to the album
Yeah.
because you have an emotional pull. So I'm going to say
That's
lower
fair.
for the Rate
It's
My Music.
even a little bit lower than you said. 6.02.
Okay.
Just about a 6 out of 10. And that's that segment, which means out with that one and into the next one, because it's time,
Hey-o.
friends. We're diving back into the Ballad of Donkey Doug, inarguably episode 6 of season 3 of The Good Place. And we're going to gather together and find out, did Steven watch the episode?
On episode
this
5, Donkey Doug asked
week?
me, did Steven watch the episode this week?
Am I supposed to say something to
It's
that?
your
Am I
turn
supposed
now.
to have
I
a
did my
reference?
thing. I said it. Now it's you.
Yeah, you sure did. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. No, that's not what we do
The
here.
part of the
It's
show
time
where Larry
for
comes out and sings a silly,
a silly song. Did Steven watch the episode this week? We're going to find out in 20 seconds if Steven can convey to us everything that happened in today's episode of The Good Place, The Ballad of Donkey Doug. Some people listening in did not watch the episode today in preparation like we did, so you've got to tell them all that happened in it before we dive deep. How are you feeling?
A peek behind the privacy curtain,
Sure.
which I do record with a privacy
Which is
curtain.
big. You've never let me pass that curtain. I've
And I
been
won't.
trying for years, clawing
I
at that
won't.
curtain, tugging at that curtain.
It's like a
It won't
sensory
budge.
swing, but I just walk around in it.
It's your void.
It's my void. Exactly. Aw.
What were you saying?
I don't normally watch the episode this close to us recording.
Mhm.
I usually sleep on it.
Mhm.
But today I'm fresh. I was held by my ankle into the pool of this episode, and I was pulled out.
You lost me.
Achilles, the Battle of Troy, he was dipped into a...
Yeah, but I just don't get how
pool
that's
by
in
his
relation
ankle.
to the Ballad of Donkey Doug. You've got 20 seconds on
Haven't
the
you
clock.
seen Troy starring Is that a young Orlando Bloom and Brad Pitt?
I think the only movie I've ever seen Orlando Bloom in is Pirates of the Caribbean.
Haven't seen Gran Turismo yet, huh?
I don't really know that I care to. I'm sure it's fine, but I don't think it's going to be so good that I'm glad I saw it.
Do you care about racing, Zach?
No. I feel like you would go see that movie because you like video games and you like to think you are the boy who is in things.
Well, as somebody who has a sim wheel and pedals
I like the
feet,
motion. You showed us the sim wheel. You took us there.
That's how clearly I'm ready for the big league.
Do you play Gran Turismo?
No, not my scene. But
it's supposed to be like a more realistic driving a car simulator, right? Isn't that
the one
idea?
I play is too. It's just a different kind of car.
Not my scene.
I'm only into the pinnacle of motorsport, Formula 1.
Something you and Lil's dad have in common. You'd have a heyday talking about racing games. You should.
Yeah. You better watch out.
Shout out
I don't want to become Poppy's favorite.
All right, enough of that. We've got 20 seconds up on the clock. Are you ready?
I think so. There's like only two plots to fight with in this one. I think I'll be okay.
I think that's true. All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
Jason Tahani and Michael go to Jacksonville to help save Donkey Doug because he's been a bad dad his whole life, but he's a lost cause because he's a criminal. So Jason saves Pillboy instead by tricking him into keeping old people safe. Meanwhile, Chidi has to break up with Simone because he can't tell her about the afterlife, so they have to run simulations, and he fails, but then he does break up with her, and Eleanor helps him be a friend and smooth it over. Time.
I mean, you didn't do too bad. Here's what I'm going to say. I think you could have gotten a little bit more about the second story. You just kind of said the bare bones and said, I'm fucking done. The other thing is you said because he's been a bad dad his entire life, but you did not say Donkey Doug is Jason's dad. I got it because I've seen the episode.
Here's my argument.
But if can I finish a thought before you
I'd like to counterpoint your point, officer.
Yeah, okay.
You got to tell me if you're a cop. And you can't hold anything against me that I did before you. I said they're all in Jacksonville, right?
I said
Donkey
Jason
Doug
because he's been a bad dad.
But
I heard
instead,
exactly what you said.
They decided to save Pillboy.
Right, you didn't say.
I did not inherently say that he was the father to Jason, but we know he's not Tahani's dad, and we know he's not Michael's dad.
Well, we know, but it's about conveying the message of the episode to someone who may not know. C. Plus.
C plus?
C plus, yes. Well, you think you did better than that, didn't you?
Yeah!
Let me rethink. I'm just
because other than that Donkey Doug was Jason's father, what else could I have said other than honest, sure? I could have said something.
If I'm being honest, and I am, not a big fan of the time.
Once upon a time, Zach, when we first started doing this segment on a different show, it was discussed that bonus points could be earned if I finish adequately before the 20 seconds. I remember
this. I remember when we wrote up the treatise, I've got the scroll, I keep it underneath my bed.
We both got tattoos for that.
At all
Zach.
times, I got the whole scroll on my ass to thigh.
Yeah.
I know, Steven, but I don't know that you get to be the judge of if you've accomplished it early or not. You're just a child who said, I'm done when there's still tons of meatloaf on that plate. You know, I thought I was going to take it up for you because I thought more about what you had said, but I'm sticking with the C+.
Wow. Yep. I'll remember that.
Okay.
I'm not going to
forget. That doesn't concern me too much. Let's do some trivia. Okay. I don't have as many questions this time, but I've got a good handful of questions for you.
I've got 8.
Go ahead.
Who?
Go ahead.
Who did Eleanor shove into a creek?
It's when she's talking to Janet in the beginning. It's a girl. She thought Eleanor was intimidating. I don't remember her name. Hannah?
Ooh. I'll let you give it another try. Just say a girl's name.
Chlamydia.
Oh, you got the right consonant sound. We're looking
Charlotte.
For Kylie Mansard. I said the right consonant sound.
Speaking of Mansard, did you ever watch the show Mansers?
Yeah, every once in a while they'd have something that let you see a woman in her underwear. So yes,
I feel like that was one of those things that parents should be afraid of. You know, I feel like it's something that I should not have been watching at that age. What three swamps does Jason want to show Tahani and Michael, and what are their significance? This is right when they get off of the plane. They're at the airport.
I might have misheard
Landmarks.
or read.
When did you watch the episode? 10 minutes ago?
Yeah.
Come on.
He said, in mine, I believe, this is the swamp. Mm-hmm. I want to show you the swamp where Donkey Doug and Pillboy and I used to point laser pointers at pilots.
Didn't say Pillboy, but yes.
It's Pillboy and Donkey Doug.
No, it's where he and Donkey Doug would try to blind pilots with laser pointers.
Pillboy was included.
I don't think so. And then anything else? Were there 2 more?
No.
Okay, he said, that's the swamp where me and Donkey Doug alone would try to blind pilots with laser pointers. That's the swamp where I lost my virginity. And that's the swamp where my German Shepherd lost his virginity.
Oh, the other 2 were not in my episode.
Yeah, okay.
The first
then I'll
one
give you the
where
credit
Donkey
because
Doug,
that's not your fault.
Pillboy. What airport does Jason fly into?
That would be Macho Man Randy Savage International Airport. What are you talking about?
Not what it's called.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about Randy Macho Man Savage non-international airport. It's the non-international. Yeah, I would have taken Macho Man Randy Savage because that's just, in the vernacular of the American people.
Okay. Where is Donkey Doug banned from and why?
I think that's my next question. He's banned from Disney for biting Buzz Lightyear.
Mm-hmm.
In his defense, he thought it was someone else. Who? Tahani says. What color is Donkey Doug's bong? Can we say bong here? Are we going to get kicked out if we say bong?
Well, we are recording this in the Mounds Mall Nirvana. They let us use their outlets because we don't have enough in my place. I think it was green.
Yeah, it was. Nice. And it was attached to a Hulk hand that was painted
it was
white.
Like a boxing glove with a bong attached to it. Interesting.
Yeah.
What medical work will Donkey Doug have done with his Double Trouble Shark Tank money?
He's going to have his calf implants moved back up from his feet.
Yes.
There's so many levels to that.
Really funny.
What highway sign is in Donkey Doug's house?
Oh. Yield?
Ooh, we're looking for... It's the shape of Florida on top of 970, and I looked it up, and it's Florida State Road 970 that connects to cool. Highways. Yeah,
they would be the type to steal a street sign and put it up in their apartment. Did you ever go to a college place and they were like, "We stole this sign, but don't tell anybody about it"? Because I did.
Yes, I may or may not have had a sign.
Do you still?
No. I have one that I stole, but not from a street.
Is that what's behind you?
Yeah.
That's from a real street? That's a real street sign?
No, it's
I just
not
always
from a
assumed
street.
it looked like it. What's it from?
It's like a dance thing.
That's cool.
I'll incriminate myself.
This is a good episode to incriminate ourselves
on. It says, caution, spin turns ahead.
So you weren't supposed to take that, but you didn't, break the law to take it?
Correct.
Yes, technically.
I
guess they could press charges if they wanted to.
Yeah, certainly not mine.
Well, if you have been looking for that, write us in, come on the show, let's talk about it. What is Chidi's simulated puppy's name?
Walter?
Martin.
I knew it was a person name. Nice. How... This is a gettable question.
Shit or get off the pot, Steven.
How were Chidi's legs crossed in the scenario where Simone breaks up with him?
Right over left. Next. Hey. Coffee over here. What are the 3 Double Trouble flavors?
There's 24-hour lemon, lemon X or something like that, and that one's also a lube. I couldn't tell you the other 2.
Here's what I'll tell you. X, the app, will take you to one of the words in that flavor. I'll just tell you, it's not getting there. There were 3 flavors. Raspberry Perspirant was the first one.
Nice.
Cedarwood Melon Blast was the second one. And 24-hour Lemon Musk.
Oh!
Extreme. Also loop.
That's the third Elon Musk reference today.
Too many.
There's one in the episode. There's
one in my real life when I
SpaceX,
thought I saw aliens. Yeah.
And now
I was going to bring that up later and make everyone notice how good of a job I did picking a story from my personal life to tell that had a loose connection to the episode we're talking about today. But you just X'd all over me, Steven. You X'd me out of having that moment.
Oh, don't make me C7290 you.
It's your turn.
Isn't that his kid's name?
Do you have another one?
What does Simone order to drink?
That's my next question. Iced tea, and then when asked later, she does take the sugar.
She does take the sugar.
So I've just got one more for you. What does Pillboy tell an old lady she cannot mix.
Don't mix Xannies with these little pink guys.
Little pink fools. But I'll give it to you. That was a really good guess.
Thank you. Here's my last one. Where is Camilla's museum exhibit?
Budapest.
Can you give me the country?
That's supposed to be an easy question. I know it is. Budapest, is it racist to guess? Well, let's see. I'm trying to... My name is Budapest. All for you. Ooh,
the country it is.
Give me one more reason so I remember that it's Hungary. Is that true?
That's right. You got it. All you had to do was sing George Ezra's Budapest, where he famously name drops the country of Hungary a lot. I have a weird feeling about it because a girl that I used to date really liked his music.
Was it the racist one?
No,
probably.
It was pre-racist one, but it was when I was with
my
the
life
racist
partner?
One. No. Well, which one? You get around. I know now you're confused. When I worked at a pool, that song would play constantly, and so I was.
Tell me off, Mike. Who was it? Okay, that's trivia. Did you get all your questions out?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about the episode. Let's talk about the Ballad of Donkey Doug. I'm going to open up the forum because I don't think we feel the same way. This is easily my least favorite episode of the entire series so far.
What?
Like, easily. It's not bad, but it is just so absolutely nothing for me. You're surprised.
I am surprised.
Yeah.
And I remember a lot about this episode going in because it's one that I remember fondly. It's one that I think is fairly funny. I don't think it comes anywhere near last week's, but last week's
true, and that might
be the best of the season, your best of the show. I like the Chidi storyline. I remember it really fondly. I don't dislike the Donkey Doug storyline. I like Pillboy a lot. I like Jason a lot.
I'm not trying to say that I dislike the episode.
You said you think without a doubt, without a shadow of a doubt. It's my least
favorite episode of the show, and I stand by that. But that doesn't mean I don't like it. This is an incredible show with no bad episodes. I think this might be the least good one because it does absolutely nothing. If we're going to tell an overarching story about, okay, now they, without being worried about their souls being saved, because that's the point in the first place, is for them to try to get better without knowing that they need to get better. Why are we wasting our time on something so inconsequential and small? I feel like you could do
as Donkey Doug's soul?
Yeah, I don't think they do anything interesting with that other than the joke that it's his dad. I don't think they dive deep enough. Let's get into it. I don't hate it, but I don't love it at all. I think it's like
if I have a qualm with this, that's not my qualm.
What's your qualm?
So, spoiler alert for the next couple episodes, they kind of go into a thing where each of them like tries to save the soul of the person that was closest to them in their life.
I don't want it. I don't like it. I don't hate it.
But Chidi's is Simone. He's known Simone for a year.
Yeah.
That's my qualm, is that we can't go help someone from Chidi's life.
Is that in one of the other episodes, or is that from this episode?
That was from this episode.
There's
I think
not
that's
another
all we get
one
of
later.
Chidi. I don't think so, because the next episode is more about Tahani, and the one after that's about Eleanor and her mom, and then they go on to the next plotline after that.
And I remember earlier when you asked me in Jeremy Bearimy, do I think that episode being so good turns the season around for me? My answer was easily no, because I knew this was the next episode. And I knew that this next stretch of episodes...
So you just don't like this. You don't like what they do here. You don't like them going to help the people from... Because think about it, Zach. If you found out...
I get it.
The way to get to the more positive afterlife, wouldn't you want to help someone that you care about? If it was, if they were on the line, wouldn't you want to help them get there?
I understand why they're telling the story. I'm not saying that it doesn't
You wouldn't
work.
be showing up on Connie P's doorstep and being like, "Mother, there's still time.
I just don't think there's anything dynamic about it at all. We've seen flashbacks of Eleanor's mom before. We know what she's like. We know the problems that she has. Sure, it'll be nice to see Eleanor fix that, but I don't know. I want new, and they're just kind of giving it feels like a pause so hard to me. When I feel like there should at least be like a looming threat that's breathing down the neck of this episode. They don't have to reveal it in this episode, but the fact that there's nothing like that going on made me feel the entire time like, what are we doing here? Why are Tahani and Michael hanging out in Tallahassee, Florida, or Jacksonville, Florida?
Jacksonville.
Sorry, big diff. Let's get into the episode, because I don't think I'm really that angry about it, but
I wouldn't have hated a cutaway to the judge being like, where the fuck are they? Can I get another key made? And there's a joke about, it's going to take 6 eons to make a key to the infinite doorway.
There's nothing like that. Nobody's scared of what's coming. They're just like, yeah, let's go save Donkey Doug.
Mm-hmm.
Who cares? But Donkey Doug, please do come on the show. I'd love to talk to Donkey Doug.
Yeah, maybe don't shit on our benefactor. We'd like to thank our sponsor for today.
Yeah, we've already put him down for $10,000 on the Patreon. I hope that's all right. Let's get into the episode.
We wrote a check.
Where it takes us. We're talking through it takes us. We wrote a check. It did bounce.
Yeah.
But we're taking that to court. Okay, so Janet in the beginning is answering some questions that Eleanor has, these burning questions, now that Eleanor has this access bank of anything that she could possibly need to know. And she's asking questions about people her sophomore year in high school.
Which is a nice callback to when in season 2 when she's asking Janet about like which of her boyfriends were gay.
Mm-hmm. Oh, then he just wasn't interested in me. That's correct. This one, Nathan didn't like her. This girl, Kylie, thought she was cool but intimidating. Eleanor thought she was intimidating. That's why I shoved her into that creek. Chidi walks into the room, and I like this line. He says,
well, after my Chile episode, I asked the administration for a 1-year sabbatical, and good news, they fired me. So, I am free and easy.
I feel like maybe another thing I could say if I wanted to is how quickly Chidi is not the Chidi from last episode after how dramatic of a shift that was for him. But I like this line. I like they fired me after I asked for a break. Because of course they would. Everything he did was horrible as a employee of a college. Yeah. Unacceptable. The fact that they're allowed to then lounge in his office, even, you would think he'd be escorted off of the
right? I think they should have came and got him.
Eleanor mentions that the rest of the Soul Squad, so Michael, Tahani,
well,
Jason,
after his actual shirtless endeavor, I think that earns him a couple of free days around campus.
I think they were all clutching their pearls too hard to do anything like that.
Mm-hmm. That's what they're calling it these days,
lip.
Huh? Ooh.
Eleanor mentions that Michael Tahani are helping Jason's dad and wonders what the three of them can do in the meantime to help save some souls. But Chidi mentions that before he can do anything like that, he has to save Simone by breaking up with her. This brings up another thing. I'm remembering now that maybe I wasn't so wrong about Simone being great and ultimately kind of pointless.
No! Do I need to say...
Does something happen later?
Yes!
That's all you have to say. Something can happen later. I don't remember.
Simone ends up being a major thing.
Okay. Well, I mean, she has been so far, but this just had me scared that we're getting rid of her because we don't need her for the story anymore.
Do you not remember?
I do not remember, truly.
Wow.
I've only seen this season once. So now that Chidi has had the Matrix revealed to him and he knows what's going to happen after he dies, he can't tell Simone that because it'll totally ruin her chances at living a life without that knowledge and to make good decisions without trying to get good place points. So he has to break up with her and just end things. And he's talking about how they haven't been talking in a while anyway, and that Simone thinks that Chidi has laryngitis and it's gone on so long that he's on antibiotics.
That's really funny.
And then Eleanor says to him, okay, well, clearly because of you and your morals and how you are, you can't lie, right? Okay, you need to ghost her, block her phone number, don't text back, and anything of hers that's at your house is yours now. Have you ever ghosted somebody like that?
Not anyone that I was actually dating that I was like seeing for real.
Maybe that's how you thought of it.
The closest thing to that is I've like been talking to somebody and it kind of started to fizzle out. So we just like went from talking every day to that. Okay, I have something worse. This one's not
Let's
great.
hear it.
So this was in high school.
Okay.
And I was like
high school doesn't count. Come
a
on.
junior in high school here. And I think she was a sophomore, I believe. But I was like kind of talking to this girl, kind of like flirting. We were, friendly. And we were texting like every day. And like we would like, say hi at school and like hug and all that, cutesy stuff. And we were like going down the path that would lead to a relationship at some point.
And as all juniors in high school do, you woke up one day, said, I'm bored. You said, I don't want to play with you anymore. And dropped her in the Toy Story 2 trash.
Worse, she didn't come to school for like a week and a half or like 2 weeks or something. I didn't text her once during that time.
About her.
Yeah, so I just didn't text her. And then when she came back, we just weren't talking anymore. So like that.
That didn't end as dramatically as I hoped it would.
Well, I'm not a bad guy, so
I don't know.
That's probably the worst thing I did.
I definitely am so non-confrontational that I have done that in ways that I should not have done that. I haven't talked to Lil in 3.5 months, and I'm hoping they just notice one of these days, but continue to pay rent.
How have they reacted to the barrier you built in the bed to keep them from being near you?
No, I think they like it. I tend to roll.
Yeah.
I think they
It
like
keeps you
it, the
safe.
space. Yeah, keeps us in one spot.
You just put a baby's playpen on the bed, and you occupy
I just
that space.
get some tummy time.
Yeah. You gotta have it.
Eleanor has pulled this maneuver dozens of times, just ghosted people, and it's been fine. Cue Janet saying, actually, none of your exes have ever gotten over you. Of course
Damn
they haven't,
right.
because it's Eleanor. And she says, you're damn right you haven't. Janet then, bing, and walks over to Chidi.
That's really funny. I think
is
that
really
bit's-
funny.
That's very comical.
I do like that
the whole
bit.
time.
Yeah, it's funny the whole time. This is a good Janet episode.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't have her powers right now, and she's so used to popping up places, having a pleasant sound, that she's just going to start doing it. So
Mm-hmm.
she's doing her own bings now. There's a shot of Kristen Bell reacting to it. She does it a time, and Eleanor just kind of just a shot of her giving a silent side eye, and I thought that was really funny.
Yeah.
So Janet comes up with the idea that she can create a virtual reality system to help Chidi practice the breakup. Janet says, I'm kind of a nerd. I'll start building the simulator now. Bing! And then she slowly shuffles out of the room. And then
it's embarrassing.
she doesn't want them to look at her. There's been a couple of good don't look at me jokes in The Good Place, I feel like. She's like, guys, turn around. It's embarrassing. No, don't look. I'm like, oh, okay. Bing! And that's where we get the theme song moment. I do like stuff like that. I just have a feeling that this simulation storyline, this episode in general, feels like if The Good Place was the type of show that had 22 episodes for a season. If it had 22 episodes for a season, I would have zero problems with this episode. It would be totally fine. But the fact that I know that that's kind of what the next 4 episodes do before we get to the next big thing, I don't know.
I guess it just doesn't bother me that much. I like it. I'm along for the ride. I'm having a good time. Maybe it was because it was more Good Place in a short span of time. The last 3 days, I've gotten more Good Place than I normally do in the span of 3 weeks.
Which has been kind of fun to do a little binge.
But I
Now
think
we
that's
get a little
why I
break.
was
It'd be
okay
nice.
with a less
This episode being a piece of shit.
explosion-y,
Right, I agree.
So
the rest of the Soul Squad lands at Randy Savage, Macho Man.
Randy Macho Man Savage,
The
non-international
Rock Johnson,
airport.
non-international airport.
You jabroni.
And I love that they're just here having a conversation while waiting in a line forever. Because it's a Florida airport, and they're just in this spindling line waiting for, like, their cab or something.
Well, Zach, since you've never flown on an airplane...
Is that a thing? Do you have to wait in lines?
If you want to wait a
outside
cab
like that?
afterwards, there's always a long line for...
I got the
cab
vibe, though,
stand.
that it's kind of a Florida joke of how comically long and non-moving the line they're in is. That's what I thought.
It's just an airport joke.
I don't know, but in my many years of airport expertise...
Zach, the airport guy.
Did you get this? When Jason, breathes in the awful rank Florida air, he, yells out a chant that sounded like Duvo to me.
He
and
says
then everyone yelled it
Duval,
back.
the same thing he yelled 2 episodes ago.
And what does it mean? And don't take that attitude with me.
I believe he's referencing a Jacksonville player. He was a defender, I believe.
I just came up on the top of my head. Something else I don't like about this episode. Why was the cliffhanger for Jeremy Baramy, Larry
Duval
Hemsworth?
County.
Are you listening to me?
Yeah, you're asking why did they bring up Larry Hemsworth?
Why
and
did
not
they
bring
make
him
that a
up
big
this
deal
time?
at the end of last episode? And all he gets in this is Tahani is holding up the magazine that says that they split up.
Yeah. It's implied she talked to him.
It is implied, and that's fine. They could have done that bit, but why did they make it the cliffhanger of last week's episode to not have it be a matter of importance in this one?
I think they needed someone else to make a joke because it wouldn't make sense for any of the main 4 to make a joking matter after figuring out that they're damned to hell.
Oh, and you put it that way.
Who else but Michael? Fade to black.
Tahani says, if you love something, let it free. That's what my yoga partner Sting, no last initial, told me. Jason here can't wait to show them all of the Jacksonville sites. They're all swamp related. But Michael, before we do the tour, let's stick to saving your father's soul, which prompts one of the best bits of the episode, the joke of the episode here, Tahani saying, well, why are we so focused on your dad? I feel like you talk about Pillboy all the time, but I've never heard you say anything about your father. It's like, what do you mean? I talk about Donkey Doug all the time. And Tahani, being one of the people here in this story to react with disgust to these situations, does make me laugh a few moments, especially here, her being baffled. And she says, the Donkey Doug who was banned from Disney World for biting Buzz Lightyear? Who else could it have been if he didn't think it was Buzz Lightyear? Who? Really funny.
That's really good.
Jason explains that his dad has always fallen fool to get-rich-quick schemes, and he wants to help save him from that. One of these schemes is that he created a sport that was a cross between dodgeball and horseshoes, and everybody died.
Everybody died.
Everybody. And I like the idea. I would have liked to have seen that as a visual. Just everybody dead, and Donkey Doug just kind of looking around and exiting the gym really fast.
Now, do you think that the game was
you throw horseshoes at each other? What else would it be?
Well, but the alternative, right, that could be dangerous, you're throwing a bunch of dodgeballs at a metal stake in the ground. The horse gets pissed and kicks the shit out of you and kills you.
What were you saying?
Well, because horseshoes is, you throw the horseshoe at like a stake in the ground and you want to get close to it or around it.
Sure.
You do that with a dodgeball, you pop the dodgeball, you got to go retrieve it. Horseshoe stake through the eye.
No, I think it's as we were talking Donkey Doug here.
Donkey Doug.
It's fun to say.
It is.
I think
like how little can you use your mouth and say Donkey Doug? Donkey Doug.
I'm no Jeff Dunham, Steven. I'm no Darcy Lynn. I can't just do that.
Nice. Is Darcy Lynn, was she on America's Got Talent or something?
Yeah, she's a little kid.
You watch that show, yeah.
Yeah, I do. Don't bring it up too often.
Sofia Vergara, she's still on that?
Yes.
Nice, I like her. Heidi Klum on there?
Yes, she left and came back. She's great.
I'm a big fan of
Simon Cowell. Looks like a monster these days. He's
always
done a lot of weird stuff to his face.
Nice.
They did something recently. I don't want to talk about America's Got Talent
in and out of
the
those
podcast
shirts
today,
for years.
But they did an episode that I watched recently where they were watching old clips, and then Simon was commentating on it now. And you go from him like kind of looking like a person to him just like puffy, smooth face, like talking through his lips.
Nice,
like Jeff Dunham.
Full circle.
Tahani wants to throw money at the Donkey Doug problem, get him a trust fund, maybe a tasteful yacht. But Jason shows some foresight here and knows that he'd just blow that kind of money. He wants to make Donkey Doug feel like he did it himself without any help, without being handed money. So Michael brings up that Doug was on his way to getting his electrician license, which I really like this based idea of getting a job like that and being a productive member of society working a trade gig will get you good place points towards your soul being saved, which is great because that's, I don't know, giving up your life to take up a trade like that is noble.
I agree, especially your life of crime to take up a trade like that is great. Going straight, going on the up and up, the straight and narrow.
Factory robbery. Yeah, you're right. So Michael mentions that he was working on that license, and maybe that would get the points. And then he says, which is, why we're actually here. So let's go do that. And Jason says, okay, let's go save my dad. And then they hail a taxi, and at first you think it's the purple taxi that's on the curb,
great
and a
misdirect.
giant CGI monster truck, or maybe it is real and actually ran over that car.
Maybe
it struck me as CGI, I thought, but I guess it could just be real. Comes and runs over the other semi to pick them
Zach,
up.
as someone who's never been to an airport, let me tell you, the monster truck taxis, they do come through.
Have you ever done a dance competition or any event in Florida? Is it gross?
I almost did. There's one in a couple
everybody
weeks that I was almost going to, but I'm not.
There you go.
Been in New Orleans.
Great story.
It's also a swamp. Been to DC. That's a swamp.
Jason throws his stuff in the back of the monster truck.
Can you help me
and
with
they take
bags?
off.
I got it.
So Jason shows up at this, what looks to be a dilapidated hotel with a pool and all the rooms, and he shows up at a door, and Donkey Doug comes to the door with a boxing glove bong, is how I wrote it down. You explained it.
You
as
keep
a
saying
Hulk
boxing
hand.
glove. It's like a
It has fingers.
Caucasian
it's not a
Hulk
boxing,
hand.
It's not a boxing gloves.
Yeah.
So
It's just
Donkey
a big
Doug's
puffed up
wearing
foam
a
fist.
cracker or a Hulk hand with a bong attached to it. Am I allowed to say that?
You can say it.
Sorry to offend anybody out there. They hug, and Tahani's amazed that Jason calls him Donkey Doug in person. It's not just like a term of endearment. It's what he likes to go by. And they have this whole back and forth of, well, I don't think of him as like my son. I think of him as my boy, but not like my boy, like my son, but not my son. It's very confusing, the boy and son thing. Jason introduces Michael and Donkey Doug, and Doug worries immediately that Michael might be a cop, and that Michael has to tell him if he is a cop, kind of setting up the joke later. And what makes me laugh the most about this bit is that he hands the bong thing to Jason, and then Jason like starts to hide it from Michael as if he's concerned maybe Michael could be a cop.
There's a lot of times where every time Donkey Doug says something, Jason's like nodding along, like he's like right back in that.
Yes, there's more of this too, because he then introduces Tahani. This is Tahani,
my wife,
who is my wife, I guess. And Donkey Doug starts hitting on her and talking about having sex with her. And Jason's like making like boy band faces and like nodding. He's clueless. Oh man, he's just being so ambivalent to Doug hitting on Tahani. This is one of the weirdest father-son relationships on television. And I think the episode could have gotten a lot farther into it. Because they're just so boys that they're so comfortable. I do think that this is interesting. I just don't think the episode.
Which would you rather watch, Zach? This
Trevor?
episode.
You're gonna say Trevor. You still want more of Trevor, but
this
you don't want
episode,
Donkey Doug.
Or That's My Boy, starring Andy Samberg and Adam Sandler.
Well, unlike That's My Boy, I have seen this episode, so I can't really compare the two.
You haven't seen That's My Boy? The big twist at the end
Should I?
is that the
Spoilers!
fiancé is fucking her brother.
Oh, I feel like I could probably skip it then, right?
Yeah, it's not good.
Tahani is the one that says, I'm his wife. Don't do that. You must really love him. Welcome to the family. Come on in. And they go inside. Then we cut to the other plot line where Janet is setting up the simulation for Chidi. It's going to be able to approximate any reaction that Simone could have to anything Chidi says, and it has Tetris.
Which I like this because it's something that Janet would have been able to easily do for them in The Good Place, and it's something that Janet could believably. It's the future, first of all. They have Super Smart Board. And
it's
also
the future. I don't know if it is the future. They literally, in my cut of Jeremy Bear Me, they say 2018.
Yeah, it's 2018.
Chidi, which is not the future.
From where they were when they died originally, it's like 2 years later.
Did you pay attention to how Jeremy Bear Me works out? It's not the future for them, it's the present.
It's 2 years past when they died.
Yeah, but do you say you're in the future right now because 2 years ago you were doing something else?
It's the future compared to the start of show, and so technology has advanced. That's why they have Super Smart Board.
What does that
Zachary,
have to do with Tetris,
are you forgetting about the Super Smart Board?
Yeah, but that's real. Our school systems just could not afford it.
That's
been a thing since 1997.
All right, Mega Board, give me
a
Super Board. Give me announcement fanfare. There's the thing that does that easily in 2018.
Yes.
I don't think so. Also, Janet knows everything, so she can build some shit. She knows all the science, all the secret tech. She knows all that.
Whatever. Eleanor really wants to use the simulator to be in a bedroom with some Red Bull and with Jason Statham.
That sounds aggressive, but I'd be here for it, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know if it's aggressive. She's just planning for a long night.
Well, Jason Statham is always aggressive, so I've seen Crank.
One of my favorite interactions in this episode is Janet saying,
"Why is it that every time a new thing is invented, humans immediately try to use it for porn?
Because we're disgusting." Huh.
And it's really true. Yeah. I'll be honest, it was not long after I bought an Oculus that I got a little curious.
It's a quick
I'm
trip.
Sitting on the toilet naked on Christmas Day. What else am I supposed to do?
I'm in my mom's bathroom. I got the headset strapped on, the little controllers in my hands.
I didn't realize
tidy
the speakers were that loud so much.
Because it's not headphones. It's not headphones.
They just said, Zach, stop yelling, "Those aren't my legs," from the bathroom. Okay.
Get this thing off me. Get this thing off me. I'm freaking out.
Chidi puts, this isn't a Oculus type scenario though, because he puts these earbuds in his ears and a horrible screeching noise plays that takes him into the simulation. And he all of a sudden is in the restaurant. And this is exactly the plot of Nathan Fielder's new show, The Rehearsal.
That's
getting
great.
to rehearse a tough social situation over and over and over again to get it just right on the day of, except that was real. And it's a really funny show. You should check it out. So he sits down to tell Simone he needs to end
2 weeks
things.
in a row with what's it called? It's not called review.
The Rehearsal. I didn't mention it on the show. I mentioned it to you in
you mentioned. Come on.
I mentioned review last week. Different
Rehearsal,
show.
Review, RuPaul's Drag Race. It's all the same thing.
He sits down to tell Simone that he needs to end things, and he has Janet in his ear piping information to him. So he talks to Simone, says, I've learned all this information, and I need to end things. He's keeping it really vague. He says that he can't say why, and he's dodging any questions Simone gives him. And then Chidi kind of pretty immediately gives up on take one. And he's just kind of like, Janet, this one's not working. And he looks up and says, Janet, I like Simone here. Who's Janet? And why do you keep yelling her name at this guy? And then she's like, okay, I'm just going to leave. Simone leaves. And Chidi takes out the earpieces. It went horribly, but Eleanor thought it was hilarious. Mm-hmm. Here's something I'd like to say. That was like a whole scene of the episode. It was so slight. This episode is plot lines that are so slight. The entire episode is cut to this thing for a couple seconds, cut to this thing for a couple seconds. I don't know. It feels like I'm talking about a different type of show than what we usually talk about, kind of.
That's fair. I think that it feels more like a normal episode of TV, and The Good Place does not oft feel like a normal TV show. But I don't think it's so bad. I think that this is the first
so bad. I just think it is the worst
full
piece of
episode
dog shit of this show so far. Huh?
It is the first episode. Also, I just want to say, review Paul's Drag Race Rehearsal. That's all. But
we found it.
Mm-hmm. It's their first episode where they're just on Earth. Every single character is on Earth. No magic, no powers.
What have the last 2 episodes been to you, bucko?
They still had magic door. Nope. They used key.
Not since Michael got through the door. You saw the door.
Yeah, but that was all about freaking out.
Door. You don't know what you're talking about. They're back at Donkey Doug's place in the hotel room.
It's the mundane place. This is Middle Earth. They're just here. They're queer. Deal with it.
Donkey Doug's offering some refreshments to his guests. He says, can I offer you a bong rip, a Four Loko, a water moccasin? What, is that a cocktail? This is funny. Listen, can I offer you a bong rip, a Four Loko, maybe a water moccasin? Tahani says, oh, water moccasin. Is that a cocktail? He says, no, it's a snake. They're worth a lot. Let's just say a few fell off the back of a zoo. Well, a line that I really like in the episode, and they cut it. Michael's quick to bring up Doug's electrician work and how he should maybe get back into it, but Donkey Doug immediately diverts with a Pillboy Jason reunion by saying, hey, Pillboy. And then I was thinking, was Pillboy just like a dog waiting around the corner for someone to say his name? Because he immediately comes around
Pillboy was probably sitting around pilled out of his fucking mind, just standing still somewhere.
Until he realized somebody was talking at him. That's fair.
Yeah.
Then the three of them, the 3 men, they all start to O-dip each other. O-dip Donkey Doug. O-dip Jason. O-dip Pillboy.
Oh, I think in my episode they just do O-dip Pillboy, O-dip Jason. They skip to the
they
round
do it
robin
for a second, and then Tahani and Michael just kind of marvel at them. Mm-hmm. Pillboy says, Jason, I thought you were dead. And then I like how Jason says, but I was alive. I was in Australia. I talked to you on the phone last week.
Oh, I forgot.
Yeah, but I forgot.
I love Pillboy.
Donkey Doug's got an idea, and this time his idea isn't fake meth. And he and Pillboy prepare to show Sharks, Michael, and Jason their latest plan. And I like how it took me a second to realize they were doing the Shark Tank thing. Mm-hmm. So at first when he addresses them and goes, Sharks, how much do you spend on energy drinks and body spray in 1 week? $300? $1,000?
$1,000?
I thought just the Sharks. It kind of caught me off guard a little bit. It was funny. I liked it. Enter Double Trouble. It's energy drink. It's a body spray. Do you drink it or spray it? You both it. They give their pitch to these people that are not going to buy a product, and they're really taking it seriously because Doug knows with this money that he can finally do what he's always wanted to do, things like getting his calf implants moved up from his feet, and the visual that paints in my mind is so funny.
I wish we got a better look at Donkey Doug's
toes and feet. I agree.
And feet, yeah.
Look up Donkey Doug on wikifeet.com. Please.
Wikifeet. That's great.
That's a real thing.
Wow, is that just have celebrity feet database?
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't
Nice.
know that. It's because a lot of celebrities reference it. Like, they have the weirdest, vaguest, barely famous. Like, if your feet have been in anything, there's an entry for you on WikiFeet.
Nice.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll be a good goal. Can we
Brought
become
to you
big enough
by this week.
podcasters to get an entry on WikiFeet?
Well,
We'll
I've been
put our
posting
toes
pictures of
everywhere.
my toes every single day, and I've been submitting them to WikiFeet for years, and I just keep getting return to sender.
Rejection letter after they hand write a letter telling me to stop.
I don't know how I
emailing
keep getting
them.
these faxes from them. I don't have a fax machine.
Someone came to my house and said, "Please stop."
Michael knows that this is going to be really tough for them to get anything through in this situation. All these idiots. And Jason's like, yeah, you're right. This is amazing. I love the idea. We should bid fast because it's going to go. Then we leave them for a little bit to go back with Chidi, who's discussing with Eleanor how he's going to tell Simone. And Eleanor, this is a interaction that should have worked, but kind of didn't work.
So I just have to be simple, honest, and declarative, and somehow still protect her feelings.
I don't know, man. Maybe just tell her that you're gay.
I'm not gay.
Fine. Bi.
I'm not bi either.
Why not? More guys should be bi. It's 2018. It's like, get over yourselves.
I don't know why I didn't like that line, but something just I didn't
Well,
like
you
about
don't
it.
think people should be bi. You think gay,
Well, I haven't
lesbian, that's
seen
it. Only 2 letters
any
of the
proof that
LGBT.
bisexuals exist. So maybe that's it. It's not bad behavior. It's just no Christmas presents this year.
You don't get a
if
gift
You're
if you're
bisexual.
no. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Janet brings in to answer Chidi's question because he's asking if he can try rapidly a bunch of times to just get every scenario out of the way with Simone. And she says yes, and also that she improved the tone to this smooth jazz sound so it won't be as jarring. So he puts the earpiece back in, we hear the music, and he's back in the simulation. And this is probably the highlight of this storyline, the Simone montage, where we see a lot of different scenarios at once. Because it kind of harkens back to Michael snapping every time.
Yes, and I
to reboot.
like that, Zach. I think it's a good... I don't know. It's funny seeing Chidi, who normally
cute,
has the
but
least
it's
control,
slight.
being in this snap and being able to reset. But it's also
like that
it harkens back to one of my favorite bits in It's Always Sunny when they're on the speed dating and Frank has like the whistle that he blows every time they fuck up. I think that's really funny.
Frack, fuck.
I don't know. I like this bit. I think it's good.
So rapid fire, we get, I don't love you anymore. I mean, I don't technically love you in the same way because of circumstances. Snap. Then, I'm dying. No, you're not. Well, yes, I am, because technically, we're all dying slowly. Snap.
Not a lot,
I'm
yeah.
Special Agent Rick Justice, FBI. Which is really funny callback to last week's episode. And then 3, fast, snap, snap, snap. Then he ends up proposing to her. He starts by talking about the last few months, the last year has been such a big part of my life. I've grown so much thanks to you. Will you marry me? Yes, of course I will. And then Janet ends that one for him. But that makes me sad because it's sweet. It's nice to see. I think this episode is expecting you to really have a lot of stake in seeing Chidi and Eleanor end up back together. But for someone who has a lot of hope for Chidi and Simone and how they work together, this was kind of a bummer.
I'm
not saying that makes the episode any
fight
better or worse, just because of my feelings about the characters. This scene was,
Well, and
that
to do
moment
what they're
was a
going to
little bit of a
do
bummer.
in an episode or two,
Stop teasing it. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
they had to do this.
Yeah. Okay.
Not even
Maybe-
Simone related thing.
Maybe I'm
An
kind of
Eleanor related
remembering.
thing.
I don't know. I don't remember. Anyway, the proposal one happens.
Oh, you're not remembering.
And then we get the next one.
You would
where
know.
It starts with Simone breaking up with Chidi and makes it really easy. And you know what? We don't have to make it a big deal. We love each other, but we're going different directions. Why don't we just let this happen? And then that's when Chidi says, oh my gosh, this is great. I've got to remember everything. Right leg crossed over left. I've got the coffee here.
Oh, one more thing. Suck it, you doink.
Sorry?
This is Eleanor, you idiot. Janet let me mess with the simulator to screw with you.
Janet, come on!
Hi, Chidi. This is Janet now. Sorry, it won't happen again.
Thank you.
Psych! It's still Eleanor. I can't believe you fell for that, you doink.
I thought that was funny.
Yeah, I
Snap
like that
to
part
get out
quite a
of that one. This next one, yeah, we're breaking up, but I have a puppy and it's cute and he's a puppy. He says, he's a puppy. It's over between us and he's cute. Look at it. Do you think I don't hear the things in between the things you're saying? So he's just delirious going through these, and Eleanor snaps him out of it because he's very bad at this and he's not getting any better. And it's because he says he doesn't want to break up with Simone. He doesn't dive into it, but I feel the implication is he has feelings for her. And if he could open up to her and tell her all of this burdened knowledge that he now knows, he would. But he can't. So Eleanor sarcastically asks if she should do it, which Chidi's very into. At first I thought for a second that meant he was trying to get Eleanor to go talk to her in real life for the real one, but it was just to try out the simulation. So Eleanor puts the earpieces in.
I thought it was real life too. Even for the simulation, I thought maybe it was practicing what Eleanor would do if she did it.
Then maybe it was.
Life.
It doesn't get any farther than that. She
Don't
puts
doubt
on
yourself.
the earpieces. Huh?
Believe in yourself.
Believe in yourself. That's the way to start. And I said,
hey,
what a wonderful kind of day. DW. Thank you. You can cash at me for a tip jar. You can Venmo me $5. I'll take it.
Arthur, is that you?
Eleanor puts in the earpieces and suddenly she's with Simone, and it instantly gets flirty when she's like, you're great for Chidi. Obviously, you're so amazing. You're smart. You're beautiful. And then they're touching
the real
each
shit.
other.
That's
and
what
it's
we
like,
really
what's going on
sign up
here?
for.
I don't know. It doesn't go far enough. They didn't have to actually kiss each other, but they could have gotten in closer angle to each other, and maybe like at a certain angle, I could have screenshotted it a bunch of times, put it up on my ceiling. Yeah.
I've got that hand clasp.
Chidi puts a stop to it, and it cuts to Eleanor with like her tongue out. Be like, God, come on, it was just getting good. The other thing that I noticed before that, when Simone, they start talking about her accent, and it just felt like a choice when the accent is kind of bad and stands out in the first place. Because Simone starts doing an American accent to mimic Eleanor, and then goes back into an Australian accent. And just, I feel like her doing
I thought it was cute.
It's a cute moment, but her doing an American accent and then going back to the Australian accent made me hear the American in her accent so much more. I don't know. It's just a little.
Zach's really on this accent tear lately. And I want to know why. Zach, are you okay?
No, but unrelated.
It's got nothing to do with accents.
In the other plot line, Michael's telling Jason that he needs to remember the mission, remember why they're there. Tahani is worried about something else. She says, this might not be as important, but there's dog hair everywhere, and I have not seen a dog. That's when Doug and Pillboy then come back out, bringing out the samples of Double Trouble, the 3 flavors that we discussed earlier. They're getting ready to try it. And, you know, Jason can't deny that Double Trouble is dope. But he kind of takes a moment and tries to get through to his dad and tell him that he needs to think long-term and maybe reconsider electric work. Because he used to get all the porn channels free for everybody. Good, honest work. Like, okay, Dad.
Since the 3rd grade, Zach.
Those are the years you really need those channels, too.
Yeah.
Pillboy really wants to get out of the old folks' home, and his whole thing is kind of hoping someone else's idea will lead to him getting rich and away from his current job, because that's what he wanted Jason to do in the past. He was really thinking Jason was his awesome friend that is his ticket out of Florida, and now he just wants Donkey Doug's cologne thing to work out so he can get out of here, and he wants money. He's going to be rich. I do like the bit here when he's like, oh man, one of these days I'm going to have the money. I'm going to wake up. I'm going to get out of bed. I'm going to brush my teeth. I'm going to open the fridge. Oh, damn, we're out of milk. I'm going to get in my car.
I liked when he said I'm going to rinse off. That was one of my favorite parts of that.
I'm going to rinse off? Is that the statement? I'm going to rinse off?
I'm going to rinse off. After he brushes his teeth, he's going to rinse off. Gonna get dressed. I'm gonna head downstairs.
Dang, we out of milk. You don't have to go through the whole imaginary day. Donkey Doug has a very deep moment. I just don't think I can take any of this seriously is another part too. I think I get why they're doing all the Florida bits because it's Jason and they couldn't not do it. But because everything is energy drinks and Donkey Doug and there should be something in here. There should be, I don't know, Donkey Doug and Jason look the same age as each other. There's just no emotional connection.
Well, he is a young dad.
The story last week where Eleanor helped the guy with his wallet had so much more emotional grounding than this storyline that's rooted in the backstory of one of our main characters that we've never learned before. I think it's too slight, and it's not emotional here when Donkey Doug says, I believe in double trouble. Why can't you, Jason, believe in me? Because it's a stupid idea.
Also, Jason never walked in and said, hey, I have a bunch of money for you.
Yeah, that's
he
true.
would just ask Jason this normally when Jason had no money.
That's true. Tahani is trying to kind of bridge the gap between the two and suggests that Doug should shoot for the stars, like how she told Elon Musk to shoot for the stars, and then he literally shot his car into the sky. And the quote here from Tahani, what a weird creep. Why was I friends with him? Really
that
big
aged
Elon
great.
burn.
Yeah.
Michael hopes that this is going to be the best thing for Jason's dad. You know, that he works on this thing. Okay, he really likes it. Maybe it'll work out. It's not like he's robbing a bank or anything. Yeah, it's a factory.
It's a factory.
Huh? Jason and Pillboy are planning because they don't know how to make double trouble. They're going to pull off 3 separate factory robberies to go and steal a bunch of energy drinks at one, and then a body spray at another one, and then bottles from another one. They don't... Oh my God. Obviously, all they're doing is 1 part energy drink, 1 part cologne.
Yeah.
And then expecting people to drink it and spray it. Just thinking of how gross and poisonous that would
and
be.
Dangerous.
And
Yeah, it's really not
on
good.
the body it would be.
Imagine, like,
awful.
just getting Red Bull all over yourself. You'd be a sticky mess.
Yes. And not for the right reasons.
You would attract a lot of Floridians.
So Jason then outside, he's frustrated, and he says, what, 3 factories? I can understand 2, but 3? And Michael here, I also don't like this. I don't like that Michael comes up to Jason and is like, yeah, I don't know, your dad's kind of an idiot. Maybe we should just face that he's a lost cause. For all of this let's save souls, for Michael to... There's just no emotional connection to this being Jason's father. He's like, yeah, your dad's a lost cause. It's like, yeah, you're right. Let's try to save Pillboy instead.
They do kind of just give up on Donkey Doug rather quickly. I think there might have been more of an emotional way if Jason was like, hey, I really care about you, Dad, and I don't want to see... you continue living life, and then Donkey Doug would go, I like my life.
Genuinely for a second. Yeah. Yeah, they're going to save Pillboy instead. And I like when Jason, though, says, I have this idea. Will you guys help me? Well, I mean, yeah, that's why we're here, Jason.
Yeah.
Now it's time for the real breakup between Chidi and Simone. We're keeping this Nemo thing going because they're at the French pressing Nemo cafe.
Yeah, I didn't love this one. This is the first
It's
Nemo bit that did not work for me.
It's a little bit of a stretch. I get why in The Good Place everything is named similar puns. Why in the real world is everything named this way? I don't know.
Don't like it.
Chidi is ready to do this. He's talking to Eleanor about his plan. He's working off the 10 most successful examples to formulate the best breakup. A cute thing from Eleanor. Who said you're not romantic? Everyone I've ever dated. Then he notices Simone is arriving, so he rushes Eleanor off. And he gets thrown off right away because they're on the wrong side of the restaurant. They're usually over on the other side. But he's not going to let that ruin the vibe for him. He has something to say. So he begins speaking and is immediately interrupted by the waitress who says, oh, what do you want to drink? Iced tea, water, bye. As soon as Chidi starts talking again, she's right back there to ask about sugar. Then she leaves, and then she's back again immediately when Chidi starts talking about their year together and how it's positive thanks to her. They're interrupted again because they're shift switching, and they're going to have this waiter instead of the waitress, who's played by Flula Borg. Do you know who Flula Borg is?
He looked familiar. What else is he
Internet personality. He was in one of the Pitch Perfect movies. I think he shows up in a lot more now.
He's in
the early TV appearance. Yes.
What's their... Yeah.
The German
Machine.
one. Flula Borg. He's really funny.
Helmet is his name in this.
Helmet. And he's totally wasted. He's here for no reason. He's kind of funny. He's in it for 10 seconds.
It's fine. Hey, maybe this is his big role. This is what got him Pitch Perfect.
I think that was before this.
It was.
Chidi begs, just please, can I have a second? He says, okay, 1. Ha ha ha, another joke, 1 second. I like that bit.
That was a good one.
And Chidi yells, like, you need to leave, please.
Look, just, we need to break up. I'm breaking up with you.
Why?
I can't, it's complicated, but it's happening. You dumped.
Okay.
Wait, no. Come back, please.
And this is another part where I just feel awful for Simone.
Yeah,
because this isn't...
That was bad behavior.
He's so... What's the word I'm looking for? It's that time of the night, people. he's so overexposed to the situation through the simulations that he doesn't realize that, no, this is the real Simone in front of me, and you just yelled, "Ya dumped at her." So when she acts like a real person and stands up and is sad and just says, okay, and like walks away, it really hurts.
Yeah, and I think that what I like about that is kind of a running theme of the last few weeks is the consequences that happen now are real. When you act like a bad person, somebody gets hurt here. There's no snap and come back. There aren't a bunch of NPC characters running around who you're not going to actually affect. These are real people with real consequences, real feelings, and I think that that is what's shown a lot the last few weeks and that I do like quite a bit.
I agree.
Because Simone's a real innocent bystander that they've roped in now into their shit.
Whether she's aware of it or not, they have.
Mm-hmm. And
Chidi
so
yells
she
for
gets
her
hurt.
to come back, but Helmet shows up. And no, not you, Helmet. Fucking Helmet.
Fucking
Character
Helmet.
named Helmet in the Ballad of Donkey Doug.
Doom, 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 doom.
I knew it was coming as soon as I said it. Meanwhile, we see Pillboy, and he's hooking up all the folks at the old home. He's hooking up this old lady. You know, you take this and you'll have a body high with light visuals. Mm-hmm. He's the walk of the town. He's the walk of the town. He's the cock of the walk of the town of the block. And all the old people love him and his pills that he can show to all of them and give to them and make them feel things. His name tag says Pillboy.
Yeah, it's his name.
That's his name.
That's his name. I really enjoy this. You know, when someone's that old, they're in a home, nobody's coming to check on them.
Let him get weird.
Let them be
it.
high. Shit.
I mean,
they give old people all the
they
gold
might
drugs.
as well be too.
Exactly.
So he's hooking all those people up, and then he has to leave work early for a robbery. I mean, I'm sick. But just as he's getting ready to leave in a funny moment...
Hello, Pillboy. I'm here on behalf of Jason. You won't be attending the job with Donkey Doug today. There's been a change of plans.
Okay.
That's it? You don't need any more information?
I mean, do you want to tell me?
Not really.
Cool. You want some pills?
I think that if Tahani showed up and told me not to go somewhere, I'd probably listen.
Yeah, I'd say, hello, Angel, who is real. Angels are real. Angels are real. Just like when I saw that light in the sky, if I saw like, Jamila Jamil walk up to me, I'd say biblically accurate angels are real.
Did you start saying, my God's not dead, he's surely alive, and he's standing on the inside, roaring like a lion? Oh, boy.
Chidi is complaining to Eleanor that he's messed this all up. Janet, meanwhile, in the background is in the simulator, and she'll comment on it in a second. And he's worried that now because of this, what if he sent Simone down the wrong path, and now she's going to end up in the bad place? So he wants to fire up the simulation and figure out the best way to fix this. But Eleanor tells him, just go talk to her.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing, it's a really easy sitcom situation.
Yeah.
It's not that deep. Just go talk to her. I like Eleanor's line here that Simone, she's a badass and her world is bigger than your relationship. She'll recover. Just go be a person. I think that's a really true line.
I like that. Mm-hmm.
Tell to a friend who's putting off the inevitable.
Yeah.
Like she's
hey,
a great person
I love you and care about you, but you are not the end all be all of her life. Go break it off.
Yeah.
So I have a question, Zach. Now we've discussed that you're a ghoster. You know, you've left the people closest to you without
If you're
so
asking,
much
have
as,
I ever
how
broken
you
up with somebody? No, there are 6 people that I'm still technically in a relationship with.
I was gonna ask if you ever had someone break up with someone for you.
Well, I had someone hand the note in which I had broken up with someone to them for me. Does that count?
Because they were sitting in between you two, or because you didn't want to go up in between classes and give it to them?
Because I was a pussy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's not great.
Mm-mm.
It's literally like you mailed the
worst one I've
letter
got
for you.
Is the time that I really wanted to break up with the person I was dating, and it was right at the time of the release of Arrested Development Season 4. And I was binging it with my buds. I was complaining about my shitty relationship. They paused it in the middle of a Season 4 of Arrested Development episode on day 1. You don't do that. And they said, we're not pressing play until you end this relationship you keep complaining about. So I texted her, and then we watched episode 9.
Nice.
Is it nice?
No. It's okay. It's not terrible. I never have had someone break up with someone for me.
Freshman or sophomore.
But I have been the person who broke up with someone for someone else in middle school. If a friend was like, hey, will you go tell them.
You were like, absolutely.
I was like, fuck yeah,
Any
I'll be
press
in the
is
middle.
good press.
Yeah. Da-da-da-da-da. Guess
So
what? Yeah.
So Chidi, yeah, you do like a singing telegram.
Like, so, I know you're single now.
Bop, 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 you are dumped. So Chidi takes the advice and steps out. Meanwhile, Eleanor asks Janet if she can use the simulator to relive a specific Lenny Kravitz concert. And Janet sets up expectations for Eleanor that you can use it, but when it boots up, you may end up in a steam room with Jason in an old-timey strongman suit.
That was great.
Onesie, I think she said.
I thought both were
too.
funny.
What do you mean?
Both Eleanor's thing and Janet's thing were funny. Did you get the Lenny Kravitz thing?
What would I not get about it?
That he did a concert where his penis was out.
Oh, I didn't know that at all.
Yeah.
I thought it was literally that Eleanor had gone to one and she wanted to relive.
No, he did a concert where his penis came out.
Interesting.
Yeah, so she wanted to go to that one.
Jason walks into this warehouse to see Doug, who's attempting a
See,
robbery.
not so bad, is it? Quite a funny episode, don't you think? Topical. Got the Kravitz cock. What more can you ask for?
Well, when you tell me an episode has Kravitz cock, now we're talking. I like when Jason walks into the warehouse and Donkey Doug says Pillboy, and his son says, no, it's me, Pillboy's
friend Jason.
If you're here to tell me a body spray energy drink won't work, I've been told that before by a bank and some doctors. Jason comes through here and says, no, I'm going to help you. But literally, they're like, oh, you're a lost cause. I'll help you do whatever you want to do. Just leave Pillboy alone because I'm trying to save him. This interaction's funny, but again, this doesn't quite work in the way that an episode about Jason's dad could work. Donkey Doug says, oh, you got religious and shiz? Amen. And Jason also says amen and gives him like the cross. Just as Doug asks Jason to help get things to his truck, the police show up. The red and blue lights are coming through the windows. And he calls out, are you a cop? Because if you are, you have to tell us.
You got to tell us.
Of course they are, the police. Yes, they're the police.
It's like, oh, I knew it.
Jason thinks that they can run off together, but this is Donkey Doug's chance to be the father that he always could have been.
I know I haven't been the best father in the world. I might not have even been in the top 5. I want to make up for that. I'll distract him, you run out the back.
No, that's crazy.
It's what my dad did for me and his dad for him. And someday, you'll do this exact thing for your son.
I mean, I hope not. But thanks, Donkey Doug.
But thanks, Donkey Doug.
Then as they're having their little moment, they decide to try out the name Donkey Dad. He calls him Donkey Dad.
Call me Donkey Dad.
That doesn't work. It sounds whack. So Jason goes out the back. Doug runs out to the police, but doesn't do what you think he's going to do. He yells Bortles and then runs away from them just in front of them.
I like it.
Last scene with Chidi and Simone. Chidi is talking to Simone face to face, fessing up to what he said and what he did, and tells her that she's amazing, and the truth is that his feelings have changed, but he can't tell her why. And it really cuts to hear Simone when she says, you seem to know what you want, which is rare for you. This person who's never sure about anything is so sure that he doesn't want to date me anymore. That's gotta suck.
It's really sad. Yeah, it's gotta hurt.
Chidi, I think this is an important thing to keep this thread going. Suggests that she keep the study going, even if they're splitting up and going other ways, and he's lost his job now, because he still thinks it has the potential to help others.
I liked that interaction. It was sweet.
And I think it shows that the convoluted story reason for everyone to get together, being this study in Australia, wasn't for nothing. It could continue to go on and continue to help people even without the humans that started. Yeah. Then back at the old folks' home, Michael, Tahani, and Jason meet Pillboy at work, and they're setting up for him to live a better life. I don't think any of the story is satisfying how it wraps up. I don't feel like they really did much of anything while they were in Florida, really at all. His secret mission, though, I like it, but it's not worth the whole episode. This episode wasn't about Pillboy, and this is where this whole thing ends.
Sure, that's fair.
They tell him that he's got this secret mission, and it's to do his job and not do any crimes and help all the old people until they say so. I like that they added to help all the old people, because that's important. Pillboy says, I can't believe this whole time you guys were with NASA. Yes, secret astronaut spies.
That's what Jason told
said.
you.
A cute last moment between Pillboy and Jason here where they share an I love you, bro. They start tearing up over one another, and they do a long, drawn-out
really
secret
funny.
handshake while crying. I like the psych, I got you, bro. I got you, bro. Jags, wires, rule. One more scene, and it ends in a cliffhanger that I don't love and that I don't think makes this episode any better. The gang's all meeting up for Tahani's sister's exhibit, which is opening in Budapest at the airport. She says, "You all ready for some Al Jamil family reconciliation?" And Jason says, "You got it, wifey." And goes on to talk about how he thinks he really nailed the Pillboy thing, and he's glad he got closer with his dad.
Closure with his dad.
And he got closer with his dad, Donkey Doug.
Donkey Doug.
Eleanor says that remains depressing. And then goes on to feel bad, kind of, because she's glad for Jason that he got this and wishes maybe a little bit, as much as she didn't like her parents, that she could have a similar experience with her parents, who are both dead. I like the moment that shows Janet looking at Michael as if, should I tell her the thing? And Michael nods yes. And Janet says, the thing is, one of your parents is not technically actually dead. Her mother faked her own death. Eleanor's really heated, feeling a lot about this, and says, I'm sorry, Tahani, I don't think I'll be able to stay here with you in Budapest. Turns out my mom isn't dead, so I have to go back to America to murder her.
Murder her.
And that's the end of an episode that is certainly an episode of The Good Place. I don't think it's any worse than I did when we started talking about it. I also don't think it's any better than I thought it was when we started talking about it. It is the most operationally fine, technically an episode of The Good Place for me.
I don't think it's anything to write home about. It didn't bother me as bad. I don't.
Apparently,
think
it is
really
something to talk
episode.
for an hour and a half about. But.
Yeah, Zachary, Mister. I don't think we're gonna spend as long on this one as we did.
Didn't.
Close.
That's true. Well, let's wrap this thing up.
But
what are your final
I think
thoughts?
that it's not the most consequential episode of the show, but we did have Chidi break it off with Simone. We did have Jason get his version of closure with his dad, and we know that Pillboy has been set on the right path. Those are all positives, I think.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all. That's what I got.
Okay. Well, let's wrap up the episode with our good place and bad place for the week.
Yeah, I'd like to kick
this
this one off, Zach.
Okay, let's hear it.
So the easy bad place pick this week is Donkey Doug.
Yeah.
But I didn't go there because I think that Donkey Doug, if anything, improved his net good place, bad place score. Because while he doesn't grow a ton as a person,
at all,
he was only doing terrible things. And instead of robbing 3 factories, he tried to rob one and then took the police's attention so that his son can get away. Possibly sacrificing himself for his boy.
And then he darts out. He runs.
Well, all cops are bad, so going with cops is bad points. But running from cops is net 0.
So who's your bad place?
Chidi, because his first breakup with Simone is really bad. And yeah, he went and apologized, but that was really insensitive. And as an adult, there's no excuse. Like, that's bad place points. That's bad. To say you dumped to somebody who was just coming to meet you for lunch is pretty terrible. Because Simone did nothing to deserve this.
She didn't. You're right. And that is bad. And it's not as bad as anything Donkey Doug does in this episode. And I'm not giving it to him either. I'm giving my bad place points to Pillboy because no matter how good they might feel, he is drugging old folks at his job with whatever he can find to make into a little cocktail and see what happens.
Telling the old folks how to safely recreationally use the drugs they're going to be
I don't
using
think
anyway.
His employers
Are you
would
a
have the
bad
same
guy
opinion.
if you see somebody about to smoke a blunt with angel dust and you give them a raw cone of your finest cannabis instead? Are you a bad guy or are you helping?
I think you might be a bad guy though if you're like, here's your liver medication, and did you know that if you take this with this, you'll trip the fuck out? Person who, I don't know, it just struck me wrong. It struck me as a breach of trust.
The old lady was happy. She said, you're the best, Pillboy.
What about Good Place? Who's going to the Good Place?
Okay, so I don't know if we're going to agree on this one. I have honorable mention to Tahani. I think Tahani continues her good behavior this week, but she doesn't really get to stand out with anything other than being like, Pillboy, stay here. I don't really want to give it to Janet. Janet tries to help Chidi not be a mess. I gave it to Jason because I think that Jason is like, well, I can't help my dad because he's bad, but I'm going to try and help my dad. I'm going to for sure help Pillboy. So I think Jason, for me, gets the good place this week because I think that Jason also shows a lot of intellectual maturity compared to his peers around him, because he has the thought to say, like, you got to think ahead, Dad, like, you got to do these things. And I think he does recognize that what Donkey Doug and Pillboy are doing is not sustainable and not good for their lives, and the fact that he can say that to them as a friend and as somebody who was not the leader of the group, then I think that's good. That's promising.
I like that. I think I'm actually gonna give mine to Tahani.
Sure.
Even though she's not the most active player, I feel like how well she goes along with this weird scenario, because she is truly convinced that the right thing to do is to go wherever it takes to help people. It's not an episode where anybody is out the gate amazing, and I think she does pretty well. So I'll give it to Tahani.
Well, and I'll say something else that earns Tahani a lot of points. She's the first person to ever turn down Donkey Doug's hot tub and sticking things in each other. For her love for Jason. And that earns big points.
That's
you're the first person to ever turn that down. You must really love him. Welcome to the family.
Well, get the strumming ready, Steven, because that was our podcast on the Ballad of Donkey Doug.
Well, now your ears have had their full. So wrap yourself in a tarpa wool. Find your nearest animal pug. And give that flat-faced boy a hug. Look at them shoulders, Zach. Give him a shrug. Because this was the Ballad of Donkey Doug. Wow, wow.
Excellent, Steven. Great work.
Thank you.
For this hour at night. That was some good work. That's our podcast on the Ballad of Donkey Doug. We're going to be back next week to talk about a fractured inheritance as we ramp into the second half of the Good Place's third season. I don't remember it.
Camilla?
I remember like what it's about because it's a Tahani episode, but I don't really remember what happens in it much at all.
You think she's going to make breakfast, I think?
I don't remember.
She could like make some eggs?
No spoilers. We'll find out what I think about it next week. I hope I at least like it better than the first chapter in the Let's Save Souls series. And I hope I do too.
Let's Save Souls. I like that. That's fun.
If you guys want to help save our soul, if you like what we do here, please consider supporting us on Patreon. We're starting at $5. You can get this podcast a week early. You can get our That 70s Show Rewatch podcast, The Basement. You can get our live stream You Can't Diss a Pre-Show every week. You can get Brokeback Bebop before it's released for free. All kinds of stuff starting at $5 at patreon.com/can'tdisappoint podcast. Steven.
That's right, guys. For just $5, if you really want to save our souls, $5 means 5 prayers, and 5 prayers gets us 1 God buck, and only 1 million God bucks, and we can save our souls.
Steven, where else can the people find us?
Well, if you don't have
the God bucks,
if you don't have the God bucks to spend on us, if you're not flush with prayers, then you can come over and SpaceX our line of twinkling lights over on Twitter or on Instagram. Not Threads. We're not there yet, but who knows?
Blue Sky
Entertainment.
Is that what it's called? Blue Sky? Isn't that one?
Is that a Twitter alternative?
Yes.
Is that the
black people one? You have to get invited to it.
That's the black people one. Yeah.
Is it?
Uh-huh. You have codes. Black people have codes. If you want one, I can get you one. I wish I were kidding.
Like behind a trench coat? You got codes for Blue Sky?
You got the Blue Sky. But go follow us on Twitter and Instagram over at Time Knife Pod. All the deets of when we're recording, when we're live streaming. The patrons got to watch us film an episode of this live. It was kind of cool to do.
Yeah, I think the live stream ran about 10 minutes longer than what the podcast ended up running, so a little bit of extra content in there.
Bonus! You also can get all of Brokeback Bebop.
I already said all this.
All the fun stuff on the
Why are we doing this?
Patreon.
Let's get out of here.
Yeah, that's all I got. Oh, we're also on YouTube. Come watch the video. See what I got going on.
Doug's sake.
I'm repping the Bebop today.
That's all well and good. But for the good name of Donkey Doug, get us out of here.
From inside Donkey Doug's Florida motel pool, Black Lives Matter.
I'm Zach.
I'm Steven.
And we love you, Jacksonville. We'll see you next week.
Duval County, Florida is where Jacksonville resides.
Nice. So it wasn't a sports guy at all?
It was not.
So who's the sports expert now, little miss?
Down to Florida, we welcome you to the Sunshine State. They're kicking back and soaking up the rays every day in Florida. I'm in Florida. The sun is setting over Tampa Bay. It's like a Caribbean holiday every day in Florida.
I just unplugged my headphones.
It's okay, you don't listen to me anyway.
We're holding for a reset. We're taking 5 seconds.
Let me powder.
Reset.
Smoke a cig.
Never been good at getting things in the hole on the first try. It just doesn't seem like that's where it's supposed to go. Been mashing all evening and it just doesn't fit, okay? Hi.
That was
Welcome
great.
back to This American Life. I'm Ira Glass. Whose turn? Martin.
Yours.